being in Africa, we actually stand to benefit the most from electric mobility, from renewable energy, and, ultimately all the technology.
Tarryn, in terms of planning a road trip, how does that change when driving an electric vehicle for you?
I use the built-in navigation, and when setting my destination, it shows all the charging points along the way. Generally, when I travel, if I want to get somewhere quickly, I'll fly. But, if I am going to take a road trip and there are charging points along the way, I like to find the interesting locations where they are. I like to make more of a journey out of it.
Chris, what is the furthest you have driven your e-tron? And was there ever a point in that journey where you thought to yourself, you may not actually have enough range to get you there?
My holiday house is about 500 kilometers from home, so I've done that trip numerous times. Obviously you have the range in the car and it's on the dashboard, but you do watch it a lot. But there's never been a time when I've fallen short. There are a number of charge stations along the garden route.
So Chris, as a e-tron driver, how much does it usually cost you to charge your car?
At the moment, it's about 20 to 25% of what it would cost me per kilometer in fuel.
In terms of the public accessibility of charging stations right now, do you reckon it's pretty easy to find?
There are actually charging stations everywhere. You can charge in many places you wouldn't even have imagined already. So it's very convenient, it's online, you don't need any cash. So it's actually a very simple operation to stop, plug in your car and charge.
Shula, do you think the move to electric will be a natural progression, or is it essentially inevitable?
The change and the transition to EV, we cannot avoid it. The change is global. It's going to affect all of us. And the sooner we migrate, the better.
And if we were in a situation right now, Chris, whereby we had all the supporting infrastructure to be electric right now, what do you reckon that this would do potentially for South Africa's electricity demand in this environment?
I don't feel there's a real issue around electricity demand for EVs, especially in the early phases. You'll be surprised how little in the bigger scheme of things that EVs actually use. And remember that EV charging typically will be done through the night, so I don't think it'll have a big impact on the grid as such.
There is a lot of anxiety about load shedding right now, and perhaps people who are thinking about getting an electric car might be thinking twice just because of the level of aggressive power cuts that we have had.
We recently experienced a stage 6 load shedding. Most of us, it was the first time. But what that has taught us is that you will still have 6 hours of power when you come back from work.
As Shula says, a typical EV now, the charge rate that we've got, and even with a 3-phase home charger, to replenish 50 kilometers will take you typically half an hour. So it really should never be a concern.
How do you, Shula, see South Africa's electric push, and what do you think it will take to determine the shift?
As individuals, we need to change our mindset, and everybody must play their part in the change. We need to educate ourselves so that we can increase the rate of adoption.
You had mentioned that you charge your RS e-tron GT on solar. And I'm wondering if you think that this should be the long-term position for all of us, or could this potentially have negative ramifications for the country?
Moving off the grid is a personal thing, and those that can move off the grid should move off the grid. The day will come when electricity markets are fully, liberalized, and that actually assists the whole electricity environment because it starts to balance the grid, and it means you've got this enormous storage capacity which you can use at any time. So, contrary to what people believe, once you've got mass rollout of EVs, it actually stabilizes the grid.
In terms of charging, what is the difference between an AC charger and a DC charger, and how do you know which one you need?
Just to put it simply, at your house, you will find AC charger because most of the appliances at home are AC and use AC current. The DC is your strong direct current that you will find on the public charging roads.
Chris, how big is the battery in your car, and how long does it take you to charge it at home?
So the battery in the RS is 93 kilowatts. The car holds an enormous amount of energy. Currently, I charge my car as soon as I get home. I plug it in, and basically I have a PV system which charges batteries which I have in the garage. The garage then discharges through an inverter and into the car. So I do on average about 60 kilometers a day. So as soon as I get home, I plug it in, and when I get up in the morning, the car's fully charged.
In terms of converting battery life into mileage, how do you know how far 20% of your battery life will take you?
The easy answer to the question is the car tells you. And you also have an app. So wherever you are, just pick up your phone and you'll know how much range you got. In general figures, you can work on 20 kilowatt hours will give you 100 kilometers.
Chris, taking the attention away from the electric vehicle for a second and just focusing it on yourself and the amazing career that you have had. You've done quite a lot of things. Engineering background, you're a racer, you told us, now you're in renewable energy. But if there was anything that you could start over in, any other career that you would choose, what would it be?
So I'm really enjoying the energy journey. I think this country has a crisis in energy. I think there's a lot of noise around energy, around 100% renewable energy. When will that be achievable? And I'm enjoying the process of solving energy issues in South Africa. I think that's a real issue. It's exciting to be part of the solution, and sustainable energy is a huge thing today.
They say it takes a certain kind of person to jump headfirst, though, into a progressive future. And I'm interested in terms of your drive and what keeps pushing you forward into that future.
It's curiosity. I'm a very curious person and also very optimistic. I'm interested in the possibilities around what I learn. So I seek to understand something, I seek to try something. I don't like it when I don't know how to do something. It's that propels me forward. Learning more, seeing what's possible. And I think that attitude is what creates my future, and for each person can create their future. So when we talk about future as an attitude, that's what it means to me.
And for yourself, Chris, why is the future an attitude?
I think my attitude for the future is optimism. I'm an eternally optimistic person. I believe South Africans are incredibly resilient people. We've been through so many crises in this country, and we've found our way through, and we've found solutions. And I think that's what my attitude is, real optimism.